It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Good morning. Welcome to Travel and Cruise Industry News on this, the 18th day of August 2022. Coming to you from Central Virginia, a little town called Forest, right outside of Lynchburg in Bedford County. Busy day for me today personally. As most of you know, I go to the oncologist here, and not too long for good news and bad news kind of thing. We'll find out how things are going. And then I head out of here about 4 o'clock in the morning, heading south. So anyway, that's what's up. Today's top story is 6 more sailings canceled for the Norwegian Joy. Boy, it seems like we've been talking about that an awful lot. Today is National Fajita Day, folks. I'm okay with that. I like fajitas. I don't eat them all the time, but I'd say maybe 1 out of every 4 times or 5 times that I have Mexican, I have a fajita. Typically, I like chicken fajitas better than beef, but that's me. So anyway, tonight or today at lunch or whenever, go out to your local Mexican restaurant and have a fajita. They're good, yummy. All right, stories this morning besides the Joy. Cruise ships cautiously return to Ensenada. Record-breaking year at Port Canaveral, and even better for the next year. Luggage problems. Royal Caribbean wants to restart in Hong Kong, and much more here live at 11 today. If you're listening via the podcast, welcome aboard. You can always You can always access the podcast via my blog, which is accessadventure.net, or wherever you get your podcasts from, like iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Podchaser, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, any of them. Just search for Travel and Cruise Industry News, and up pops the fat travel guy. And anytime you're listening to the podcast, if you ever want to jump over and see the pictures or clips that I may have up, or which we're going to do some here this morning, you can always go down in the description of the podcast, and there'll be a link. It says click here to access the video feed, and it'll take you right over to the video feed. You can check out any clips or pictures and go back to your podcast. So, Hot Air Tom, of course, has been up there in Port Canaveral, and I missed doing this a couple days with nutty scheduling. But first thing that Hot Air Tom did was check out Harmony of the Seas. And that would be Harmony of the Seas coming into Port Canaveral. And this is Norwegian Joy coming out.
On our balcony. The iPod is resting on the balcony railing at this point. So right now the ship is directly in front of us.
Now, what's interesting from this, folks, is the next little clip. Look real closely up in the upper right-hand corner, and there's Hot Air Tom calls it a kite, but I think it's some kind of a motorized, I don't know what it's called, but anyway, buzzed the ship. There were 2 of them, and it buzzed the ship, came by their quarters there in Port Canaveral. So check this one out.
You see in the upper right corner, we got a guy on like a kite, and there's a motor on there that he's flying around. There's two of them, and they went right past the room here. The other one disappeared off the screen, but he had buzzed around the back of the ship, and I'm thinking the authorities probably weren't too happy about that.
All right, that's Hot Air Tom from Port Canaveral. Taking some clips. When he's supposed to be working, folks. Remember that one. He's supposed to be working. However, able to take those clips. So, all right, just to go over the schedule here, folks. Tomorrow's show will be same time, same place, 11 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. Coming to you live from a McDonald's somewhere between Forest, Virginia and Jacksonville, Florida. I have no idea where. I'll find out about a quarter to 11 and pull in and hook up and do a show. Same thing after this cruise, the Hot Air Tom cruise, I call it. I'm going to go cruise with Hot Air Tom and Cindy on the Norwegian Sky, sailing Sunday out of Miami. Then after that cruise, my show on August 29th will be the same thing. I'll find a McDonald's someplace and pull over and do the show. We'll do the same thing on September 8th and 9th as I turn around and driving back to Miami for my Symphony of the Seas cruise. And it's possible on the 19th, if I don't get home late at night on the 18th, that I might have to do the 19th as well on the road. Depends on how quickly I can get to my car after I get off Symphony of the Seas. So, and the other thing is that Cruise Amigos for today is canceled. So, between my schedule, John's schedule, Martin's schedule, we just couldn't get it together to do a show this week. So we'll be back next week. So, and keep in mind, folks, I'm old enough that I remember being able to get up without making sound effects. I'll be back with today's news after a word from one of our network sponsors. All right, the top story this morning, folks, has to do with Norwegian Viva and the machine ate the picture again. Oh, well. Okay, so Norwegian Viva has 6 more sailings canceled. The much anticipated Norwegian Viva will not be debuting in early July 2023 as planned. Emails sent to book passengers and the cruise line's travel partners yesterday have announced another delay. Given the global supply chain constraints impacting industries worldwide, including the maritime industry, we must cancel Norwegian Viva sailings from July 3rd, 2023 through and including April 17th, 2023. So said the email from Norwegian. While Norwegian Viva was actually floated out from Fincantieri shipyard in Italy as planned the 1st of August, 2nd of August, actually. This only indicates the ship's exterior is complete. Interior construction and outfitting the ship will take months to complete, and with further supply chain delays, the ship will not be able to join the fleet on time. This is the second delay for the Prima class ship. Norwegian Viva was previously scheduled to debut in mid-June of 2023, but her initial sailings were canceled earlier this summer. Global supply chain constraints were also cited as part of the reason for the initial delay, which canceled 2 sailings for the vessel. Now 6 additional sailings. Yes, canceled 8 sailings so far. Impacted guests have 2 options in lieu of their now canceled Viva cruises. The default option is that all bookings are to be moved to comparable sailings aboard Norwegian Getaway, preserving stateroom categories and book promotions with a 20% discount on the cruise fare. Details for this option, including the itinerary and final invoice, will be available to guests by the 13th of September. No action is necessary for guests who accept this default option. Guests who prefer to cancel their cruise entirely must contact Norwegian Cruise Line no later than September 2nd. Full refunds will automatically be returned to the original form of payment. If the cruise was booked with a future cruise credit, 100% of that credit will be returned to the guest latitudes account. As further compensation for the inconvenience and disappointment, Norwegian Cruise Line is also offering all guests, regardless of the option that you choose, an additional 10% discount on your next cruise. That further discount is combinable with all current promotional offers when the new booking is made and can be applied to any sailing from August 28, 2023 through December 31st of 2024. The discounts will be added to the guest latitudes account by August 22nd of 2022. With the cancellation of these additional sailings, Norwegian Viva's new inaugural voyage is planned to set sail August 26th of 2023. This is a 9-night trip from Civitavecchia to Trieste, Italy, with ports of call in Italy, Greece, Croatia, and Slovenia along the way. So, after a few weeks of cruising over there, she's going to San Juan, Puerto Rico, and then back to the Med in the spring of 2024. So, unfortunate delays for Viva. All right, cruise lines are starting to try going back to Ensenada after visits from 2 cruise lines were canceled last week in the wake of recent surge of unrest. Cruise ships are cautiously returning to the popular port of Ensenada, Mexico. Cruise lines are continuing to monitor the situation closely, however, in case they have to adjust future calls. Ensenada, a port community just 50 miles from the United States-Mexico border, is a popular destination for short cruises from California home ports. Unfortunately, the community has lately been subject to increasing violence, including incidents of arson, drug trafficking that have impacted the tourism industry. This includes cruise visits from both Carnival Cruise Lines, Carnival Radiance, and Royal Caribbean's Navigator of the Seas. Those were the 2 ships that canceled visits on Sunday this past due to escalating cartel violence. The port wasn't the only part of the region impacted, and much of Baja California was locked down temporarily as a precaution. against the violence. Fortunately, the unrest has slowed, and Border Report has reported that Carnival Cruise Line has recommitted to its scheduled calls in Ensenada. Other communities in northern Baja California, including Tijuana, Mexicali, Rosarita, and Tecate, have been similarly impacted with lockdowns, curfews, and related measures recently. With the slowing of violence in the past few days, it's a welcome respite for the port community. Cruise lines continue to monitor the situation, as I said, and will cancel as needed. At the moment, the U.S. State Department has issued elevated travel warnings for different parts of Mexico, and the current Mexico Travel Advisory recommends that travelers reconsider travel to Baja California due to the risk of crime and kidnapping. Tracking data has shown that Carnival Radiance made its scheduled visit to Ensenada yesterday. Navigator of the Seas is scheduled to visit today. Carnival Miracle is scheduled to be in Ensenada on Saturday. So, been no confirmation yet of any changes for any of those ships. We'll just have to wait and see. Carnival Cruise Line and Royal Caribbean are the only cruise lines scheduled to call in Ensenada for the next few weeks, though Oceania, Disney, and Celebrity all have calls planned in September. While in port, cruise guests should always stay alert to their surroundings, stay with a group, and consider using only shore excursion verified through the cruise line. Valuable items should also be left safely on the cruise ship rather than carried ashore, if at all possible. So things are better, but still not back to normal. Interesting data coming out of Port Canaveral. Port Canaveral is working towards record profits driven by the cruise industry this year, according to Port CEO Captain John Murray at the Port Commission budget meeting last night. Despite the slow start due to COVID, the port welcomed more than 3 million cruise passengers during 2022 financial year and expects to make $94 million in cruise-driven revenue. This is only slightly below the $106 million the port made in its record year of 2019. And keep in mind, folks, the year's not up yet. But these numbers pale in comparison to what the Port Authority expects in 2023. July 2022 will go in the books as one of the busiest months in the history of Port Canaveral, with ships operating at more than 100% occupancy rate. The numbers are far above what the port projected to see. Last year, the Port Authority expected to operate at around 50% occupancy for the first 3 months of 2022, concluding at approximately 75% for the rest of the year. With the fiscal year ending on September 30th, Port Canaveral expects 25% more cruise passengers to pass through than last year's numbers. So far, in the last 10 months, Port Canaveral has handled 674 calls from cruise ships with more than 3.2 million passengers. In the previous 6 weeks, more than 100,000 guests sailed from the port each week, with more than 120,000 during the last week of July, with 112 more home port calls during 2023 than this year, and 99 calls from ships visiting the port on a one-day calls. Port Canaveral will be busier than ever next year, totaling 909 multi-day calls. The Port Authority proposed a new budget of $154 million for next year, an increase in $32 million over 2022. The importance of cruises to Port Canaveral becomes apparent when considering that $124 million of the proposed budget come from cruise ships using the port. This is a far cry from the losses the port projected to make during 2021. Carnival and Royal Caribbean will be using Port Canaveral extensively next year, both scheduling 3 ships permanently and 1 seasonally. For Royal Caribbean, this includes the world's largest ship, Wonder of the Seas. Carnival is scheduled to use the port during 264 home port calls, while Royal Caribbean is scheduled for 231 home port calls and 58 one-day visits from ships sailing the East Coast. Other cruise lines that will use the port extensively are Disney Cruise Line with Disney Wish and Disney Fantasy, accounting for 157 home port calls, MSC Cruises with Meraviglia and Seaside, accounting for 73 home port calls and 15 port visits. Finally, Norwegian Cruise Line will use Port Canaveral as a home base for 3 ships, including Norwegian Prima. And for the first time, and this one I didn't know about, and I'm having trouble finding any information about it, but for the first time, Marella Cruises, part of TUI, will use Port Canaveral as home port for the Marella Discovery. Clearly, something I want to do while she's here. I have not been able to find out any dates. I haven't found out anything about Marella coming. Surprisingly, the first thing I did was jump over on the Vacations to Go search engine. Nothing. They don't have TUI, Marella, or Marella Discovery even listed. So I don't know if this is just brand spanking new news, but I had no idea. So not sure if we can handle that through, our sources here, or if it's got to be done through European sources. We'll ask Martin if he knows anything about it next time I see him. But yeah, Marella Discovery is coming to Port Canaveral. Awesome. All right, there's been some more issues recently with luggage. According to a recent report by Business Insider, luggage problems, while always a fixture for air travel, have become increasingly troublesome for cruise travelers. Not only is luggage considered occasionally delayed, but delays are growing longer, and luggage is sometimes rerouted to entirely different destinations far from cruise embarkation ports. Cruise passengers having the biggest difficulties are those traveling through multiple airline connections to reach their ship. In those cases, a delay or cancellation at one airport can have a knock-on effect, with luggage being completely lost or dramatically delayed. One Carnival guest was ready to sail earlier this month when his lost luggage put a damper on the whole trip. A last-minute flight change that rerouted the bags ultimately meant the luggage missed the embarkation port, and he and his brother had to enjoy their cruise minus their luggage. The bags were waiting for them at the airport after the cruise. Big help that was. A European cruise guest aboard Celebrity Edge in June had a 21-hour flight delay, causing a misconnection. His luggage was rerouted and did not make the cruise. Other passengers reported luggage rerouted to multiple airports in attempts to meet up with cruises already underway, or luggage left at airports due to a shortage of available baggage handlers. Travelers' attempts to contact different airlines' customer service representatives meant long wait times on hold, often with little or no information available about the whereabouts of lost luggage. I have never had a problem with an airline with luggage, but I did have one problem on the cruise ship, and that was I don't know, a couple cruises back, kept waiting and waiting and waiting, and my luggage and my walker never showed up at my room. I had my scooter, I'd been out and about. I had my computer bag that I carried with me. I had my portable oxygen. So, I was okay, but no luggage. So after dinner, I came back to the room, still no luggage, no walker. So I thought, well, let me go down to guest services. And as I'm going down to the elevator, I crossed over a hallway, just happened to glance down a different hallway than I was on. And I saw a walker down the other end. So I backed up the scooter, went down that hallway. Sure enough, it's my walker, one whole area, one whole hallway over from where my hallway was. So I went back to the I got the walker and took it to my room. And I thought, well, maybe my suitcase is the same thing. So I went looking for my suitcase, and sure enough, I found it on another hallway, sitting in front of somebody else's door. Had nothing even like the number of my room, which was on the tag. So I just, pushed the scooter with the suitcase with my scooter back to the room. So I found my suitcase and my walker. So, but anyway, that's just from not having enough people doing it that know what they're doing, I guess. But that was the only time I've ever had problems with that. All right, one more story here this morning, folks. Royal Caribbean International is looking to restart cruises to nowhere from Hong Kong, according to a news report. The South China Morning Post said a cruise line representative on Tuesday outlined the company's COVID protocols for Hong Kong's Legislative Council. According to Jeff Bent, managing director of Worldwide Cruise Terminals, operator of K-TAC Cruise Terminal, who was at the meeting, Royal Caribbean would need at least 3 to 6 months' notice to prepare for a return to Hong Kong. He also told South China Morning Post Royal Caribbean was the only company so far to apply to restart cruises from Hong Kong. Hong Kong halted cruises in January as part of its wide-ranging efforts to control the Omicron variant. And Kai-Tak Cruise Terminal was made available as one of the number of community isolation facilities for people with no or mild symptoms to stay out of circulation until until they were done with the virus. In early February, Royal Caribbean canceled the remainder of the Hong Kong season, which was to start in mid-March, on the uncertainty about when cruises could resume. Spectrum of the Seas, Singapore deployment, was moved forward by 6 months, and the ship began sailing from there in April, instead of October as originally planned. Spectrum is scheduled in Singapore through April of 2023. So we'll just have to see, once it's approved of cruising from Hong Kong, how Royal is going to combine the two, make some kind of stipulations on what's one going to do and not the other. I don't know. We'll have to see. So, but we'll get on cruising back to Hong Kong sometime, probably in the next 12 months. All right, let's go over and see who's in the chat room. Again, this is, I will be leaving very shortly to go see my oncologist. And In the chat room, Kenneth's with us. Hi, Kenneth. Gretchen's here. Carol's here. Melissa. Hi, Melissa. Saw you on Blaine's live stream last night. It's good to see Blaine. Mike's with us. Hi, Mike. Thank you for your message this morning, Mike. Hot Air Tom's here. Good morning, Chillie. I sent a few pictures of my current position looking at the launch pad with the moon rocket. Sorry, Hot Air, I did not get to that before I got on. Sonny's here. Maybe Chillie will get to show the pics before his computer can eat them. This is one well-fed computer. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the heck happened to that one. Neat videos, Tom. McDonald's is a place to stop. You never know who's going to show up. That's right. I was at a McDonald's and popped in, came Sonny. That's how I got to meet Sonny. Go live inside the McDonald's. You can review a Big Mac. Yeah, that also means that I have to walk with equipment and stuff, and I try to avoid that if I can. Hot Air says, sounds like a sex bomber, Jason. We might have to hammer you. I hear you. Nikki's with us. Hi, Nikki. Kenneth says, Tom, are you sure that wasn't you flying that hang glider? That's what I couldn't come up with the term. Hang glider. That's what that thing was. And Cindy was in the hotel room filming it until it looked like you were up there. Wouldn't surprise me at all, Kenneth, if that was Hot Air Tom buzzing the ship. Yeah, wouldn't surprise me at all. Hot Air says he sent a picture to Nikki of the launch pad. Let's see if I can find that with some relative quickness here. And it goes to Hot Air sent 4 pictures. Okay, so I got to do that. Okay, there's the launch pad. So I got that. And that's where they sit. I'll stick that one up. Okay, so that's pretty cool, Hot Air. So now let me see if I can get them up real quick to show them. And again, if you're listening to the podcast, you know, the Wish Cruise shows up all the time. Nothing unusual about that whatsoever. And all right, the first one that's going to pop up here is this astronaut statue there at NASA. And this is the launch pad with the rocket on it. It's going to shoot off at 3 something tomorrow, which hopefully I'm going to get close enough to see it by then. I may not go to bed tonight. I may just finish packing, throw it in the car, and get out of here. And I don't know. We'll see. All right, so let me get back to the chat room. Anyway, so yep, there's the sex bomber. Unbelievable. Nikki says, okay, Emily's with us. Hi, Emily. Sonny says, I don't think I'd venture off the ship in Ensenada right now. I'm not sure I would either, especially by myself on a scooter. Yeah, that would be running a risk, I think. Hot air hang gliding would not surprise me. No, me either. Earlier in the week, NCL canceled Getaway Caribbean cruise vacations, the time frame of the Viva cancellation. Getaway is offered to Viva passengers as a makeup European cruise with a discount. Jason says, can you imagine the drug cartels kidnapping Chillie in his scooter? He probably wouldn't get off in Ensenada anyway. Yeah, probably not. I don't know. If kidnapped Chillie will demand they stop for an adult beverage. I certainly would, and demand bourbon, even in Ensenada. So anyway, Jason's working on the getting rid of the sex bombers. Hammer time, Sonny says. I had one cruise on the Sun where 2 of 3 pieces were delivered. The missing one had my work paperwork and drama for Cindy. Wow. Oh, Dramamine for Cindy. Ooh, that stinks. Yeah, that was Scooter Round calling, Jason. I'm having some issues with my little scooter that I have here at home. Now I'm looking at seeing about getting one of them, and they don't understand about. Don't call me at 11 o'clock. So push the suitcase with a suitor. Laugh out loud. Do you have a video of that? No, because I don't know if I even had the phone with me, and my hands were clearly full. Getting the scooter moving. Same thing with the walker, and from on a scooter. Yeah, it was a trip. Good luck with your oncologist. Thanks, him. I second that. Thanks, Gretchen. The moon launch is August the 29th. Tomorrow's launch is SpaceX. There's one on the 29th too. Cool. So tomorrow's is a SpaceX launch. 28th. I'll be dry. No, I'll be past it on the. Yeah, I'll pass it on the 28th. Oh well. The rocket will be unmanned and is to orbit the moon. Oh, that's cool. So, all right. So that's going to wrap me up for today, folks. Like I say, I'll get everything processed here as quickly as possible, and I will be heading out to the oncologist shortly. And who knows what's going to happen. I will have a full report back to everybody for tomorrow. Probably will post something on Facebook today. Who knows? We'll see if there's any news. I might do a news story. But anyway, I'll let you know how things work out, guys. So that's going to wrap me up for today, folks. I'll see you from someplace on the road tomorrow. As always, pound that thumbs up button. We appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. It's free. We'll hit the little bell notification. You'll know when I go live or when a new video is up. And I will be posting a video later on here today as well. And I will see everybody live tomorrow for Friday Travel and Cruise Industry News from a McDonald's parking lot someplace. So that's it for today. As always, guys, stay safe, stay healthy, think about cruising, and hopefully one day soon we'll all get together on the high seas. This is the old fat travel guy. Have a fantastic day. Later, y'all.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chillie's Cruises.